Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today we're going to do something that I have never done yet on my channel, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be a ton of fun. My friends over at Avian Knives reached out to me and said, hey, we got a really great idea. We want to, as much as humanly possible, destroy a knife. We want you to destroy an atlas. And I replied back, no, because I love my atlas. I carry my atlas often. I use my atlas. It is one of my favorite knives. And they said, okay, fine, we'll send you an extra atlas. So while they were prototyping the knife and they were machining all the individual components and they were figuring out how everything was going to fit together and what the tolerances need to be, there were obviously knives that were not fit for sale. So they sent me one of those knives. Blades all wacky and the finish isn't very good and stuff like that. So I get to destroy that knife live on camera. Now, I don't get to do a lot of the things that I really wanted to do because I just have certain limitations in my life that preclude me from doing everything that I wanted to do. But we're going to do some cool drop testing. I'm even going to toss it out of the back of my friggin' car and drag it down the road. So I think for all this, I'm going to need an assistant. Kind of like a magician, the assistant is actually who makes the show. And as a matter of fact, because I filmed this intro after we did all the testing, I already know that he saved the day on one of the things that I could not get right. So let me introduce my assistant, my son, who just turned 10 years old. Oh my God, I'm getting so old. And his name is Strider. Come on in, buddy.
Hello, I'm an assistant.
He is the assistant. So you got the chance to fiddle with this and play with it and throw it and toss it and do something with it I was unable to do. Okay, so I guess there's that. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to get into the video and see what kind of chaos we can cause on this knife. Alrighty, let's start things off with a little bit of outdoor action. And oh doggy, is it chilly out here today. I don't know why this was the first thing that popped in my mind, but for some reason I've always wanted to bang a knife into a tree. This test is going to show us two things. Number one, it's going to show us the integrity of the tip. And number two, how strong that lock is. Because if I'm beating on the back of it and the lock isn't as good as it should be, that thing would have folded up real fast. Normally this wouldn't be too tough of a challenge, but it's pretty damn cold out here. The wood was a little bit harder than I expected it to be, and I'm happy to see that the tip looks as perfect as the day I unboxed it. Now let's take things a little bit further. Let's do a little bit of a drop test. Step out the balcony of my bedroom there and just drop it onto the deck and see how it fares. Gotta tell you, there were even a few more takes that I went ahead and cut out of here. I could not get that thing to drop tip down for the life of me. Kept trying, but at least we got a nice little bounce test out of it, right? Well, I think it's time to bring out reinforcements.
Really?
nobody was more amazed than I was that he stuck that on his very first try. Good job, buddy. It buried itself pretty nicely in there, and again, I'm surprised. The lock held up as it should, which is fantastic. But, I mean, as far as the tip goes, you would expect maybe a little bend or for it to just tip itself and break the tip right off, and it looks perfect. The lock is exactly where it should be. It's the same lockup that it's had since it came out of the box, and the action is every bit as perfect as it was when it came out of the box. I'm pretty damn impressed. But maybe the wood in the tree, the wood in the deck, maybe wood is just too soft. Maybe it's time to try something a tad more abusive. Ah, yes. Asphalt. I probably could have thrown it a little bit farther, but I think on this first try I was just really unsure of what was going to come out of this, so I decided, let me just give it just a little bit of a toss and see what happens. And yeah, it's scratched up a little bit, but everything else is, again, perfect. Nothing wrong with it. Now, I think I'm just going to yeet this bad boy. All right, who wants to bet this time something happened? That the blade opened and the tip chipped off or something? Well, it opened, but yeah, it still feels and performs just like a brand new knife. I'm beginning to think that either I suck at this whole torture testing thing or the knife was a lot stronger than I expected it to be. All right, one last try. This time something bad has had to have happened. There is no way that it's made it through all of these tosses down the driveway and yeah, well, the blade really opened up this time, but is there any real significant damage? I mean, yeah, it may look a little ugly, but how's the lockup? How's the tip? How's the blade? How's the action? Yeah, it's almost frustrating how perfect the knife still is after doing all this crap to it. Well, the lock looks good. How does it feel? Whackety, 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 whack. Yeah, it's still as strong as a frame lock should be. So yeah, after all that, all I did was make the knife ugly. I didn't hinder its performance in any way. And there's something to be said for a knife that could be very easily disassembled like a jigsaw puzzle and put back together without tools, and yet it still holds up as strong as any typical titanium frame lock that we would be paying this level of money for. Very quickly here, I just wanted to see if I could unlock the locking tab in the back for disassembly, and yep, works fine. Well, here is the aftermath. So I guess the question is, if a knife can so easily be disassembled without tools, can it actually be tough? Well, it actually seems that way. But let's go ahead and take it apart and take a look at the individual components and see how they held up. Yeah, I'd say pretty darn good. Let's take a close-up look here and see how they each look. Pocket clip got a little banged up, but all the parts where it fits together seem to be just fine. Woo, that took a lot of the impact there, didn't it? But the lock was still working as intended. The detent bowl didn't go flying out. Well, I didn't want to take everything apart, but I guess I am. And there you have it. Looks like the Atlas is a lot tougher than any of us expected. Now that we've got this all back together, I have one more thing I think I want to do. So let's see what happens if we tie a string around it and drag it behind a f***ing car. Off there in the distance are two of my neighbors walking, pretty much assured that I'm absolutely insane because I'm hanging out of the back of my SUV, dragging a knife behind me.
And we could even
But I
speed
figured
up
this
little
is a good way to really put as much emphasis as I can on destruction,
Speed racer.
letting it get dragged. You'll see in a moment. I'm gonna pop the string a little bit to get it to pop up in the air and land back down, and hopefully get the knife to fly open because I want to see what this does to the blade and the edge as well. And yes, the horrible alarm sounds and everything you hear screaming are my car telling me you're not supposed to be driving down the road with your liftgate open. Oh well, there we go. There's a good pop. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, baby, come to Papa. And yeah, that got a little close for comfort with the blade flipped wide open. I was afraid it was gonna pop up and stab me in the face. But hey, I came through unscathed. I can't quite say the same for the knife though. Okay, I think we can stop. Turning 49 in just a few days here, and I didn't grunt once getting out of that car. Did have to turn the volume down a little bit though because there was so much wind out today. As you can see, the string there is just flying around. There was horrible wind buffeting on the microphone, but I did want to get out of the car and pick this up being completely unedited and just show you one continuous shot because I really wanted you to see that yes, this knife can withstand what I just put it through and flip and lock up and everything else. I can't even believe that. Exactly as you would expect it to if it were a brand new knife just coming out of the box for the very first time. Well, that was a lot more fun than I expected. And boy, she looks terrible. Absolutely just thrashed. I had to keep popping the rope a little bit just to get it to pop up off the asphalt and flip the blade open, which it did do finally there toward the end. Let's see how the blade fared. I mean, not too bad. It's got some rough spots there at the edge. Tip ain't looking so great as far as the finish, but it still has a tip. I'm actually kind of surprised about that. It's still locking up. Perhaps I should have tested that off camera before I decided to do it live. I could have just hurt myself a little bit. Yeah, it looks terrible, but it actually works. Even has the same action. How insane is that? Truly crazy. Pretty damn tough knife for a little 2.2 ounce, completely toolless, disassembled knife. Yeah, I've got a hell of a lot more confidence in this knife now. So Thanks to everybody at Avian that let me destroy your knife. That was fun. I don't know what you want to do with it now. Maybe we'll put it in some kind of plexiglass cube and give it away to somebody or some shit. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Woo!